Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, February 20th, and one of the most momentous nights we've had in the sport of hockey in recent memory, really outside of maybe Game 7 of Edmonton, Florida, in the Stanley Cup Final last season. Other than that, I don't know if we've had a game and a night that's been as anticipated, that has as many people buzzing about the sport of hockey as we have tonight for the Four Nations Faceoff Championship game. It's the matchup and the rematch we all wanted to see. Canada and the United States will do battle, and I'm sure it will be a fucking battle for the championship and for the glory tonight as the winner of the first best on best hockey tournament in 9 years. It should be some kind of night. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you and ready to break it down from all angles. We'll talk period bets. We'll talk side. We'll talk total. We'll talk certainly a ton of player props for tonight's big game. We're certainly excited about it. We're at a time here for this game, before we get into breaking down the actual game, first of all, we are at a time where the eyes of the entire North American, at least, sports world are on this great sport of hockey, that the people that watch this show and listen to this show routinely, you guys already know how awesome this sport is. That's why you're here. You love it because it's exciting. You have intensity. It's the one sport where a guy on each team can drop their gloves and fight the other guy. You don't get suspended. You don't get thrown out of the game. In most cases, you don't get thrown out of the game. All that you do is serve a 5-minute penalty and you're back on the ice after that. You can't do that in football. Can't do that in basketball. Can't do that in baseball. It's just got this unbelievable aura of toughness to it, where players just play through incredible pain. The pain threshold of these athletes, as we say in hockey, is incredible. And I've always been left wondering, for my almost 40 years of life on this earth, how the hell is this sport not more popular in the mainstream than it is? Yet we are seeing potentially a tide that may turn things maybe long-term for the just overall popularity and attention that hockey gets in the mainstream, because from Saturday's first game between these two teams, Canada and the U.S., to now, we are seeing everybody talking about the Four Nations Faceoff, and especially this game the last couple days between Canada and the United States. ESPN has not devoted as much time to hockey as they have in the last 24 hours. It's been almost wall-to-wall on ESPN throughout the hell. They got Stephen A. Smith and his cronies on First Take talking hockey like crazy this morning, which is almost unheard of for that show. And what a job by PK Subban on the segment there when he joined the show. That was awesome from him. Alex, I'm sure we'll get to that in just a moment. But I'm seeing people from non-traditional hockey states. I remember there was a guy that worked at sportsmemo.com. He was from that area, like Mississippi, Alabama, or Brent Crow was his name. He was a handicapper there on the website. And he'd always joke to me when I'd bring up something hockey related to him. Well, what's that? The only ice I know, Ian, is the ice ice is made to keep your drink cold. That's about it. Yeah, he would throw that little quip out there at you. That's how a lot of people from the southern part of the United States have felt about hockey their entire lives, especially, and Tennessee is the one exception because they got the Predators there. And believe it or not, the people in that state gravitated to hockey, to the team. It helped that a lot of the country singing superstars there from that state really got into hockey. But I'm talking about the Mississippis, the Alabamas, the Louisianas, some of those states. I mean, hockey almost doesn't exist, to people in that state. And yet the last few days on Twitter X, I'm seeing tons of people that live in those states that are saying how much they can't wait for this hockey game tonight. They're going to be watching. They're organizing viewing parties. I mean, it's unreal just what kind of incredible attention and just how it is basically gripped everybody. It's grabbed them by the shirt here and said, bringing us in to how excited people are for this game tonight everywhere. especially in the United States and especially in those areas where, look, hockey is often looked at as an afterthought. So it's a great time for the sport, and it's a sign that, and look, the U.S.-Canada game Saturday night outdrew the NBA All-Star Saturday on TNT, and that basically has very rarely been seen ever, that NHL would outdo the NBA. But it's kind of telling you the NBA has kind of hit a plateau and they're on a bit of a downward trajectory. The hockey is on an upward trajectory, and this tournament has certainly helped it. And I know there's tons of people hammering home the element of NBA players sit out, NHL players don't. NBA players are weak, soft, and NHL players are some of the toughest bastards you'll ever meet playing a sport. That's part of it too. Also, the All-Star game format, which people are sick of with the NBA, whereas the NHL has taken this break to showcase the best players and who have made the physical commitment, the emotional commitment to make this tournament as exciting and awesome as it's been. And that's why there's a paradigm shift starting to develop. People are starting to latch on to hockey and starting to figure out what we've known, or what I've known for 40 years, what Alex has known for over 30 years, is that this sport fucking rules. And now we're starting to really see people starting to really figure it out themselves, Alex. What a night this is, not just for us,
Yeah,
but for it.
yeah. I woke up today with an excitement, and just a joy, and just kind of a buzz. And I think most hockey fans, all hockey fans here in North America, are probably feeling that way, this anticipation. And I got to say too, I'm wearing a little bit of egg on my face, because as somebody who really kind of thumbed down this whole tournament idea, thumbed down the idea of having international play in the middle of a season, this has been exciting hockey. Yeah, this has been exciting hockey, and it's done exactly what Gary Bettman and the league wanted: bringing eyes and bringing attention to the sport. And I'm all for anything that does that. So that's a huge plus out of all of this. The fact that, yes, it's not just the fact, okay, yes, we're seeing great international best on best play. That's fine. And like I said, that's all great for us. But for the outside fans to now take notice and really grasp on, and like I said, now the key of that is, okay, you're here now for the moment, and it's US Canada, and we're all here under our national pride and banners and so forth. But where do we go from here? Does this carry over into what we have, 14 games on Saturday, 3 of which will be on national television here in the United States? And then we get back into the playoff push, the playoff race.
If we go back, Alex, to
Oh.
just 2-3 minutes of highlights on Sports Center for the NHL on Saturday, and then 50 minutes for everything else, then this has not done anything.
Right.
It's got to be something that you use this momentum to build on it, and you hammer home NHL coverage on all your platforms starting Saturday. Has to happen.
Exactly. We're right at the edge of the diving board. This game is now where we officially jump, but we have to make something happen in the air moving forward, and that's the key. And we were talking about it on this program, how exciting the hockey games had been leading up to the break, because now we're seeing teams finally settle into the spots of whether they know they're pushing for a playoff spot, whether they're selling. Whenever we get to that point in the season, it's already exciting. So now having these guys, the majority of the league has had rest for over a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. Now, can they help carry the momentum that these players have been building upon for the last week and a half with this Four Nations tournament? That's what's going to be the key moving forward. And like I said, I think that's what we're going to see. I think we will see these players who played tonight for U.S. and Canada, the players who've already played for Finland and Sweden, they go back to their respective clubs. I think they carry that energy and momentum over to some of these teams, and I think we do end up seeing a better product for it for the rest of this season, for the playoffs. And like you said, hopefully that creates a whole new wealth of fans this year and going into next season.
And like I said, it's great the momentum this tournament has built, but you want those fans that are starting to latch on to hockey, that have been captivated by the Four Nations Faceoff and specifically this Canada-USA rivalry. You want them on board watching NHL hockey starting Saturday and sticking with it for the rest of the regular season and the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because I'll tell you what, if you thought Four Nations Faceoff was great, I'm telling you what, we see it year in and year out how awesome the playoffs in particular are in NHL hockey. And there's some classic regular season games too. Like, it's just that kind of a sport. It's got everything. It's got goals. It's got saves. It's got incredible physicality, intensity, the kind of investment from an athlete every night for the most part to find a way to play that you don't get it in the NBA. So you just don't. And it's a big problem that they've got right now. There's too much load management, sitting out, just the minor of injuries keeping you out. Nobody plays back-to-backs. Think of how the sport is so physical, hockey, and yet nobody sits out a back-to-back unless they're extremely hurt in this sport, and how physical it is and demanding it is on your body. And yet NBA, half the league can't be bothered, these players, to play on a back-to-back. It's crazy, the difference.
And TL makes a great point. Yeah, it's hard. It's been hard to watch NHL games this season wherever you are because of how things are with networks and regional networks having issues, blackouts, and streaming and all this stuff. If the league was smart, from Saturday until next week, next Saturday, you have 7 days. Make every game available. Make center ice available. Knock down the paywalls. Knock down the blackouts. Make this game available for everybody to watch as many games as possible the next week. And build upon that and see your ratings grow and realize that if you show something on television, people will more than likely tune in and watch it. If you show something on streaming and make it easily available, people will tune in and watch it. So that's another part that's going to happen too. There's got to be something on the league as well. You notice people are watching, capitalize and strike while the iron's hot. Give people all the hockey they can. TNT, how many times do we have to see fucking Star Wars on TNT? Put a game on every night when there's not basketball or something else on for a couple of nights. Let's do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for a week or two. Let's throw in a Monday or a Sunday game here and there. Let's capitalize and get more hockey on TV. More eyes on the game is better for everybody.
Exactly. And like I said, ESPN, I don't want to see them going back into their pre-Four Nations face-off routine on a 1-hour edition of SportsCenter, giving hockey 3 minutes of the hour, with a little 2-minute highlight bit and maybe 1 minute of analysis, and that's it. So that's going to be the key. You've got to devote the kind of attention to the NHL season resuming on Saturday and the rest of the NHL season that you're giving to this championship game of the Four Nations face-off today. If you're really going to capitalize on the momentum that the NHL is building. There is a part of the NBA season. I like conference finals and NBA finals and the latter part of the playoffs in the NBA. And the playoffs for the most part are good because then players are playing. Players are into it, and there's no load management, nobody resting. But it's just, why can't we get that more often in the regular season of the NBA? That's the issue we've got. It's just such a bad regular season product, the NBA. There's no way around it. Playoffs is good, especially once you get the weaker teams. There's a big divide between the 1 seed versus the 8 seed in the NBA playoffs. There isn't that in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So even the playoffs, it only really gets good, the NBA, once we get second round, especially conference finals and NBA finals. But like I said, they've got to do something to make the regular season product better. It's really that simple. But the NHL, like I said, they've got something. They've got people's attention with this game tonight. And the last thing we could only hope for is that it's a classic on the ice tonight, that it lives up to this kind of a hype. It was an entertaining game. It had the 3. Now, we're not going to have 3. If people are tuning into hockey thinking, wow, 3 fights in 9 seconds, we're going to get that again. No.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to get that. The players are already kind of talking throughout the week. Like, that was to set a tone. Now the championship is on the line. You really got to, there's going to be physicality. Could there be a fight? Maybe 2. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't rule it out, but it would be early in the game. It wouldn't be at a time where, like, let's say it's tied in the third period. It would probably be early again, but yeah, are you going to get 3 fights in 9 seconds? Once again, probably not here tonight in this rematch. But if you get a physical game, which you should, an intense game, which you should, that's what you're looking for, and hopefully a close and competitive game. There's no question about that. If we get all that tonight, it should be a great game. So with all that in mind, let's break it all down. Championship game of the Four Nations face-off, Canada versus the United States, -110 both sides, 5.5 the total here, which is now shaded to the under. People expecting this maybe to be a tight, low-scoring affair, which it certainly turned into that on Saturday when these two countries met in the preliminary round, where we got the 1-1 tie after the first period, and then it, of course, ended up being the United States getting the 3-1 victory over Canada in the preliminary round. Dylan Larkin with the game-winning goal in the second period, and then Jake Gensel put it away with the empty netter and the 3-1 victory for the United States. How have the circumstances changed for tonight? Well, I guess the biggest one is the injury situations. The U.S. had Charlie McAvoy Saturday when they beat Canada. They will not have Charlie McAvoy tonight for this game. An infection he had to get. I was really worried when I heard it. Like, not only out, but had to go to the hospital. And the Boston Bruins apparently are fucking livid with the way this was handled. They apparently McAvoy got hurt against Finland, and that was way back the first game of the tournament. And yet he played against Canada. And then all of a sudden, you see the hospital admission happen early in the week. And of course, he's been dealing with that. He's been ruled out for tonight's game. Probably a chance that he's not ready to go at all anytime soon for the Boston Bruins. When NHL play resumes, they're not happy, apparently, with the way it was handled by the medical team for Team USA. So that's a big loss. So they not only lose McAvoy for this rematch, but a guy that didn't play for Canada Saturday against the United States, Cale Makar, will play tonight. So McAvoy played Saturday. He doesn't play tonight. Makar didn't play Saturday. He is going to play tonight. So it's a huge swing now as far as just the overall power and strength and depth of the blue line for these two teams going into this game tonight for sure. Now, all the concerns for the United States, because it did feel coming into this game, the U.S. had way more injury concerns than Canada. But Austin Matthews, even with the upper body injury being re-aggravated, he'll be good to go. Both Tkachuk brothers are in there. You need to basically take a sledgehammer to their legs or something to get them out of a game of this magnitude. You knew Brady and Matthew Tkachuk were going to play here tonight for sure, and of course they are in for the United States rather as well. So it looks like the only major absence for the U.S. will be McAvoy as far as an injury concern. Everyone else should be good to go. Connor Hellebuck good to go, of course, even though they rested him and gave Jake Ottinger the start in the final preliminary round game against Sweden. This is a game where, look, I think a lot of things add up nicely for Canada. Revenge spot. They're the healthier team. They got their game going against Finland, although you can also say it got a little tight around the collar late where Finland scores twice with the extra attacker, gets it to 4-3 before obviously Sidney Crosby puts it away for Canada in that win against Finland to seal their spot here in the championship game. But I did pick the United States before the tournament began, and I'm not going to go back on that. I said the U.S. would win this tournament, but I'm not betting the U.S. here either. What I am looking to do as far as a side goes, because I don't have a pregame bet on the side, what I am looking to do is hopefully get maybe a moment in this game where both teams are behind by a goal at one point, and hopefully we have both teams alternating the lead at some point. Because if we have that, I'm going to have an opportunity to get plus money on both sides. That's kind of what I'd be looking at as an approach here for this game. I am going to sprinkle on the draw here when it comes to this game as well. I think there is a very decent chance we could see this game go beyond 60 minutes. Don't forget that it was an empty net goal that put it away on Saturday in the preliminary round game. That game got pretty close to going to overtime. You can get upwards of plus 316 at Pinnacle with the draw here in this game. So I am on the draw pregame. Nothing as far as the money line pregame, but I am going to say the U.S. wins because I don't want to go back. I'm worried. I am worried because Canada kind of has found their game. They look like they're a bit the healthier team here, and maybe it's going to be one of these deals where U.S. goes to Montreal, foreign soil, and wins, and Canada returns the favor here tonight on U.S. soil in Boston. But I'm not betting this money line pregame. I am on the draw, though, pregame, and got to take the over in the first period. It's still undefeated in this tournament. Every single first period over has cashed so far in this tournament. A perfect 6-0 for first period overs throughout the preliminary round in this tournament. And one thing we did see with Canada-U.S. Saturday, we saw it with U.S.-Sweden on Monday night as well. The goals were fast and furious early in the game, and then it really slowed down after that. It tightened up. Defense became a priority as the game got, later into the game and things got more, the pressure of the situation continued to ramp up. that's when things started to really tighten up. We could see something similar here tonight. So I do like this first period over. And because a lot of people are betting the full game under, which is now under 5.5 minus 130, you can now find plus money on the first period over, a plus 105 in a lot of spots for this first period over tonight with Canada and the United States. So I like that. That's my favorite pregame bet. Over 1.5 in the first period here for Canada and the United States tonight. You can get that in the plus, like I said, the plus 105 range. The goal in the first 10 minutes, as Terry Ray Vegas says in the chat, is also 6-0 in this tournament. That we've seen a goal in the opening 10. So I don't mind looking in that direction as well. In fact, the goal in the first 10 minutes, you're probably getting a bit of a better price on that now as well, because of the fact that we're now seeing a total here that is 5.5 shaded to the under for the full game. Whereas a lot of books, you had to lay $1.50 with the goal in the first 10 minutes. I'm seeing goal in the first 10 minutes minus 120 right now at Bet365. FanDuel's got a pretty good price in that range as well. So that goal in the first 10 minutes, which is a perfect 6-0 in this tournament, it's down to a price that's very reasonable to lay at pregame. And even if you still want to wait, get something a little bit better, you're going to be able to get plus money very quickly on that goal in the first 10 minutes if you want to take that chance that we get past the first minute or two without a goal to start this game. There's a lot of props I want to get into, and I will, but we'll listen to Alex first, get his thoughts on this championship game, Canada-US. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, this is definitely going to be a different kind of a start to the contest that we saw on Saturday. We're not going to get 3 fights in 9 seconds. I do think we see physicality. I do think we do see a fight early in the game. And I'll mention those props because you can bet those thanks to the guys at Bet Online. They've posted a ton of props for this contest, things that we don't normally see during the regular season. Some things I hope we continue to see into the regular season. But there's a lot of fight props, so I'll talk about those. We'll bounce back and forth with props, of course, as we get into that. But as far as this game goes, and I have to give this disclaimer for those of you because I'm sure there's some people who might be watching now that may have not watched during the Four Nations and just started joining us. I have both sides, Canada and U.S. in this game tonight. I made wagers 10 minutes before Monday's episode. Canada to win the tournament plus
Beautiful
175.
strategy.
USA to beat Canada in the final plus 140. So I was able to grab those before they went off the board when the Canada-Finland game started on Monday afternoon. But I got those both in pocket for a full unit each on both. So I'm sitting pretty whoever wins this game. So now it's just things within the contest that I'm betting on. First period over, which you can get as cheap as plus $1.05 pregame, something we don't see too often at all over at Bet Online. Minus $1.02 is available at BetMGM. Minus $1.05, I think I saw it at FanDuel. So fair prices to bet pregame on the first period over. I am on that. Of course, you can always wait a little bit, into the contest. I wouldn't wait too long though, because I do like goal in the first 10 minutes. You mentioned it's minus 120 at a couple of shops. You can also get individual goal or individual team to score in the first 10 minutes. Canada's at plus 175. USA, I'm seeing plus 180. So I have both of those in pocket as well. I have both teams to score in the first period at plus 190. And then I also have goal score props that I'm looking at. There's only 3 of them that I like. For the U.S., I'm looking at Jack Eichel. I think he's going to be the big key. I think the second line guys on both teams are going to be key. For Canada, I'm looking at Nathan McKinnon, and I'm looking at Sidney Crosby anytime goal scorer. So those are the plays I have on as far as that goes. But I think this game, it boils down to goaltending, right? That's what has been the X factor in the first matchup, and I think that's going to be the X factor here tonight. Hellebuck against Bennington. If we throw whoever, any teams, right? Winnipeg, St. Louis, U.S., Canada, whichever team's in front, if you're giving me a one-game spot at even money, and it's Connor Hellebuck in one net and Jordan Bennington in the other, more often than not, I'm going with Connor Hellebuck. So if I didn't have any of the bets that I just previously mentioned, and I was just betting just clean slate heading in right now, I'm laying the $1.10 with the USA.
There you go. But he's not in that position. He's in a position where he's going to make money because of great plus money wagers that he's got on both sides entering this championship game. And it was a perfect strategy, and it played out perfectly. It was executed well. You had a plan. You said if these outcomes occur, when I bet these at this time, we're going to make money regardless of who wins the championship game. And voila, now you're in that spot. Plus money both sides. entering. So now you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy a great hockey game. Hopefully cash the first period over, both of us, and also cash some of these props. And I agree with some of them that Alex has mentioned. So speaking of the props, let's get into those, because this is actually where, other than the first period over bet, this is where a lot of the money is tied up for me as far as this game tonight. I don't want to say I'm going prop crazy here, but you definitely are taking some shots. One thing I find here is we're getting some really good players on both of these two countries at really good prices to score goals going into this game tonight. Alex mentioned Jack Eichel plus 340, in Massachusetts, in Boston. I definitely think you could see him find the back of the net. Jake Gensel's been the best goal scorer in this tournament for the United States, and he's plus 310, to find the back of the net. Really good price there for Jake Gensel that I believe is worth a bet here tonight as well. And again, plus 320 at Bet365. I'm looking for the bigger prices. Like, to me, the worst bet to me as far as goal scorer prop tonight in this game is concerned, quite honestly, it's Austin Matthews. He has not been the kind of guy that's had those big offensive performances and scoring those big goals in the biggest games, and I know it's the captain of the United States, and you'd like to think in a game like this he can step up, but the numbers just don't bear that out with him in these big game scenarios. So and plus you get better prices with other players. Now, Nathan McKinnon's probably the top goal scorer on either side, or the most favorite as far as to score a goal tonight. You can't argue with it, though. Plus 190, plus 200. He's been Canada's leading goal scorer in the tournament so far. He has stepped up in a lot of the games, so I can't argue with that. I can't argue with the Kachucks, because the one thing I want gamers in a game like this is like a Game 7 mentality tonight. I want guys that show up in Game 7. If I think you're going to show up in a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, then I'm going to trust you to show up tonight, because it's kind of like that Game 7 mentality. The Kachuk brothers will. Matthew Kachuk plus 310. I couldn't talk anyone out of maybe betting him to score a goal. He's a Brady, same thing. Now, Brady hasn't been in a lot of big games because Ottawa sucked for the last few years. But the one thing we have seen in these tournament games is we've seen really good stuff from Brady Kachuk so far in this tournament. That if he's given the opportunity to play in a big game, he will bring it. He will be very good for this U.S. team, and maybe for Ottawa too if they get into the playoffs this year. So the plus 340 for him is appealing. Jimmy Murphy brought this angle, so I do want to give a tip of the cap to him. And we're going to get into this after this game. We will do a little segment and tribute for the great Mike Lang of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who passed away last night, with his passing and how close he was with Sidney Crosby. I mean, he was the television voice and the radio voice simultaneously of Pittsburgh when Sidney Crosby played his very first game with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You got to think heavy heart for a guy and there was a nice statement made by Sidney Crosby about Mike Lang's passing, saying he was a great friend to me right from day one, words of encouragement, and, kind of like a father figure, if you will, that Sidney Crosby, and plus, he's going to show up in a big game. He always does, and he's the captain. Plus 380. That's a difficult price to turn down, on Sidney Crosby to find the back of the net here tonight in this game for Team Canada. And then to go down the board, if you're going to take a couple of smaller shots, I think Makar to get a goal and an assist, I'm interested. But plus 600, Makar to get a goal. Boldy, because he's a local kid and a local product, plus 480. For him to find the back of the net, I think is good value. That's probably where I would go. And just because he's in Boston, obviously plays for the Bruins, Brad Marchand's not a terrible bet, plus 650, or so to find the back of the net here as well at FanDuel. So there's some really good longer shot player prop bets here tonight. And then assist props. This is probably the prop that I like the most tonight, and it's an assist prop. And this guy's just been automatic as far as joining the play, joining the rush from the blue line, chipping in offensively. In fact, he is their leading point getter so far in the tournament for Team USA. All of them assists, 5 points leading the team. They're all assists. Zach Werenski, plus 162 to get an assist at FanDuel. It's a terrific price. I'm going with the assist prop, not the point prop, because look, all of his points have been assists. Maybe he does score tonight, but I feel really good and much better about the assist prop specifically for Zach Werenski tonight for the United States in this game. He's just, and you see it, he is really trying to keep pucks alive in the offensive zone, jumping in to keep the rush going in the O zone. He's done just really good vision on the ice, making some great passes. His playmaking skills, they were always pretty good. I don't think they've been any better than they've been this season. And this, of course, Alex, goes back to when he was with Columbus earlier this season in the NHL, just how great he has been as far as playmaking is concerned. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a night for him to score. I don't mind dabbling on the goal prop either with Werenski. You're certainly going to get a good price on it. He's in the he's kicking around at plus 700 to score tonight, but the assist prop is the one that's been money in the bank. And plus 162 I like for an assist prop for him. I think Sidney Crosby assist plus 126 worth a shot here. Now, Connor McDavid has scored the first goal for Canada in each of their last two games. He got the first goal of the game as well in both of the games. Remember, 1-0 against the U.S. He scored the first goal of the game, gave Canada a 1-0 lead, even though they lost 3-1. They didn't score again after that. And then against Finland, he scored the first goal off the post and in, beating Lankinen. That was that horrible turnover, too, by Roope Hintz that set it up for Connor McDavid to score that goal. Could it be that for a third straight time, Connor McDavid could score the first goal of the game? If you believe it's possible, it's plus 1,300 at FanDuel for Connor McDavid to score the first goal of the game. It's happened in each of Canada's last two games, back-to-back, where he has been the first goal scorer of the game. And make sure you take it at FanDuel, too, because I'm seeing Bet365 only has him at plus 1,000, 10-1. You can get 13-1 first goal scorer at FanDuel. So I'm going to sprinkle on that. Why not? He's going for his third straight game. And another thing, too, with McDavid to factor in. The last time he was in a game of this magnitude, it ended in bitter disappointment. It ended in bitter heartbreak for him. We all saw the scenes, right, of him just crying, weeping after losing Game 7 with the Edmonton Oilers against the Florida Panthers last year. This is another opportunity for him in a big moment to say, you know what, I ain't going to let that shit happen again. And so I think everybody's motivated. Everybody, both teams. But there's supreme motivation for number 97 tonight after the way it kind of ended for him in the Stanley Cup final last year. So I don't mind that sprinkle at all. 13-1, Connor McDavid, first goal of the game. It's happened in back-to-back games for Canada. Why not? I'll take a shot.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And like I said, that price, that's certainly worth a look there. But, one of the things that I looked at, and I mentioned it, like you said, at the top of the show, looking at these fight props. He said, shout out to Dave Mason, Adam Burns over there at Bet Online for posting these. There's a ton of different things. So here's some of the things that I've taken a shot with as I can bring up my Bet Online screen. One of the things is that, number of fights. There isn't an over-under, but you can bet number of fights. Like I said, we don't think it's going to be 3 or more fights, which that is at plus 500. I took a shot with one fight at plus 150. I think early in the contest, we see some physicality, a little pushing, shoving at the whistle. And I did bet that plus 150 that we see at least one fight in this game. I also bet you can bet on who will fight in the game. A lot of guys are favored. Most of the guys who fought on Saturday are all favorites. So you have the lay price with Brady and Matthew Tkachuk, lay price with Colton Parayko. One guy who isn't a favorite, and I took a shot with him at plus 250, is JT Miller. If you remember, JT Miller got in that third fight. That was a skirmish. That was right at the net with Parayko. They're kind of just jawing, and all of a sudden just spontaneously dropped their gloves. The fact that Brady and Matthew Tkachuk both suffered injuries, both a little banged up. If any of the three guys from that night were to drop their gloves and fight, I believe JT Miller would be the guy to do it. At plus 250, I think that's a very strong look. So that's something that I wagered on as well. And also, I did take some small shots. This is in the same prop market. If you're looking at Bet Online, for example, I took shots because I do think this game ends 6-3 USA. And I mentioned that on Twitter, and I think it ends that it's not going to look that lopsided of a game, but I believe we do see empty net goals. You can take a shot for will there be an empty net goal score. I'm seeing plus 900 for any empty net goal, for 2 empty net goals, plus 350 for an empty net goal just in general. So you can get 1 or 2. If we see this game be 4-3 either way, with about 5 minutes left, we know they're going to pull the goalie. They'll pull the goalie down one. They'll pull the goalie down two, either team. So I think those are both really good looks in the prop market. Bet for an empty net goal, bet for 2 empty net goals. If there's enough time to where a team comes out with a 1-0 lead and we see a lot of extended empty net time.
Like I said, and the good thing about sprinkling on all these different goal props is, look, all of these that I mentioned that I'm betting, a small piece of each of these that I've mentioned as far as the goal props, they're all plus 300 or better. So if you just hit maybe 3 or 4 of them, you're going to come out pretty nicely as far as these. The other one I failed to mention on the U.S. side, he did score what ended up being the game-winning goal against Canada. And again, you're getting just a spectacular price for a guy that was red hot going into the tournament, scored the game winner against Canada, always plays hard. Dylan Larkin, at plus 600. I'm a fan of his game, no question. So I don't mind a look there. Yeah, I'll read the current projected lineups for everybody. Canada's lineup, it looks like no difference from the Finland game, which is where, and this is where John Cooper, people need to stop with this nonsense that John Cooper is only a good coach because he's had great teams. You see the line changes he made for that game against Finland, almost all of them paid off. Look at what putting Braden Point with Connor McDavid did. Look at it. And that line was phenomenal. And Braden Point scores in that opening period. And of course, McDavid got them going with the first goal of the game. So it's Braden Point, Connor McDavid, Mark Stone, once again, top line. Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Sam Reinhart, second line. Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, Mitch Marner, looks to be the third line. Brad Marchand, Sam Bennett, Seth Jarvis back in the lineup, it looks like, for Canada tonight on the fourth line. So it's probably going to be Konechny that comes out. Devon Taves, Cale Makar, top pair on the blue line. Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko, Travis Sanheim, Drew Doughty. And, of course, Jordan Binnington in net. For the United States, the Bash brothers, as they're being called, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, centered by Jack Eichel on the top line. Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes on the second line for the United States. JT Miller, Dylan Larkin, Matt Boldy, the third line. Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, Chris Kreider, currently slated as the fourth line, although there could be a change there. I'm hearing it's down to either him or probably Kyle Connor as to who's going to get in, because Kyle Connor, believe it or not, was scratched the last iteration of U.S. practice we saw. On the blue line, no Charlie McAvoy, obviously, so it'll be Noah Hannafin and Adam Fox, Jacob Slavin and Brock Faber, and Zach Werenski paired with Jake Sanderson. So that is what you're looking at on the blue line here for the United States. And, of course, Connor Hellebuck in net. So those are the projected lineups that currently we're seeing for this championship game tonight. Man, we can't wait. As shots on goal, which I'm not big fans of, if I'm looking at shots on goal, McKinnon and Makar I kind of like, because I think they're going to be high-volume shooters in this game tonight, both of them. Certainly, McKinnon is always like that. Makar, I think, is going to get more involved. Makar's going to play a ton. This is the championship game. He's now got a game under his belt, returning from the illness that he had on Saturday. He's going to be a little bit more full strength. John Cooper's going to play the shit out of Cale Makar tonight. You can rest assured of that. So I think he'll be approaching 28, 30 minutes in regulation on ice here tonight. So I think Cale Makar might be good value with his shots on goal prop tonight as well. Yeah.
No, that's going to be good. And I know at the end of the show, right, and we're going to give out our official prediction. I gave mine away already, but we're going to give up our official prediction for the game, right?
I'll give you a final score as well. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you a final
cool.
score. I'm kind of feel like Canada might win it, but I don't want to go against what I said at the beginning of the tournament. I said the U.S. was going to win it. I'm not going to go away from that. But boy, oh boy, there are a lot of things that concern me for them, and are set up nicely, I should say, for Canada tonight. But I'm going to stick with the U.S. still. I said it before the tournament. I don't want to change my opinion based on that. Shout out to everyone in the chat. This is a great night for the sport. We can't wait for this game. We hope all of you enjoy it. We hope all of you cash your bets as well tonight. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. And a reminder, make sure you sign up at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. And we do have an announcement that we want to make here right now on the show, is that we have locked in dates for our next 3 Ice Guys live betcasts. Next, of course, we already announced this one. Next Thursday, February 27th, we will be on for a betcast, which will be free for all. That's next Thursday, February the 27th. So free betcast next week on February 27th. But added to that will be not 1, but 2 Patreon exclusive live betcasts coming your way in the month of March. We are going to have the first one being Thursday, March the 6th, which will be Patreon only. We'll put it up on the screen right now. There you go. So next Thursday, February 27th, open to everybody, free for all betcast next Thursday, February 27th. And we have 2 Patreon exclusive live betcasts coming your way in March. The first one being Thursday, March the 6th at 7 p.m. They're all 7 p.m. Eastern time, but Thursday, March the 6th. So we're going to have back-to-back Thursday betcasts, free next week, Patreon only on March the 6th. And then we will have one also Patreon exclusive toward the end of March, Tuesday, March the 25th. That will be our other betcast. So there you go, our next 3 Ice Guys live betcasts. Next Thursday, free for all, and then 2 Patreon exclusive live betcasts, Thursday, March 6th, Tuesday, March 25th. We will rock with both of those. So again, we're looking forward to this. And again, we had to be selective with our betcasts in March because of the fact the NCAA tournament is going on, March Madness, and that does take up a lot of my focus and attention and handicapping time when it comes to the annual March Madness NCAA basketball tournament. So that's why we're only going with 2 betcasts, but we will make up for it. Trust me, in April and beyond. We are going to give you 3, maybe even 4 betcasts per month in April and beyond for the remainder of the regular season and the playoffs. Plenty of more live betcasts that will be Patreon exclusive as well. So all the more reason with the NHL stretch run beginning on Saturday, sign up for just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, the daily betting card, sides totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. All that at exclusive live betcasts, all that and more, just for $10 per month, and your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. $10 per month, patreon.com/iceguys.
Also the chat features too, like you mentioned, we're going to have those chat features up. And I think we might, like I said, we're kind of troubleshooting. We might have 2 features, a general chat for everyone to chat, just like we have on the side of YouTube every day. And then we'll also have a chat area that'll be for our live wagers in the second half and in the playoffs. So definitely looking forward to that as well. But also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We have everything in full stock right now, all kinds of different new merch. If you haven't taken a look and see some of the things that we have in the store, please do so. Check that out. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Check out that store. Exactly. Get your gear and your merch at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, before we get into Bargain Bin Special tonight and Best Bets, we do want to mention and talk about the unfortunate news last night, the passing of the legend Mike Lang, Pittsburgh Penguins voice for decades, radio throughout his entire time as the play-by-play voice of the Penguins, but he also had many years when he was the television voice as well, specifically when a very young Sidney Crosby in his rookie season joined the team. Mike was still doing the games on television at that time for the local Pittsburgh affiliate. He worked with Edzo for a bit, Eddie Olczyk on some of those games. And, of course, Bob Airey was his frequent on-air partner as well. This man is we've lost another of the greats in a recent time when we've lost Pat Foley, we've lost Rick Jenneret, we've lost Bob Cole. You know, we have lost so many old school, phenomenal play-by-play broadcasters. We lost Bob, there's just so many. It's a situation where we're losing all the great ones that we grew up listening to, and Mike Lang was another one. You talk about always entertaining, passion in his calls, excitement in his calls, enthusiasm, loved hockey, loved the Pittsburgh Penguins even more, and so many great. He was the king of these off-the-wall, one-liners that he would dole out for every time the Pittsburgh Penguins scored a goal. I mean, you go on down the list, there's so many great ones. I mean, get that dog off my lawn. Get in the fast lane, Grandma. The bingo game is ready to roll. He'd say it in that Michael motorcycle. You'd have to be here to believe it. And then when Sidney Crosby joined the team, one of the newer liners he came up with, a lot of those liners go back to when the 80s and 90s, when the Pittsburgh was winning Stanley Cups with Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr and Kevin Stevens and all those guys. But there was a couple that he brought in and incorporated into his play-by-play goal calls when Sidney Crosby joined the team. And, of course, that one was, slap me, silly Sidney. He'd always say that whenever Sidney Crosby would score a goal for them. I mean, he had so many of them, too. Oh, yeah. Scratch my back with a hacksaw. Yeah, that was always one of my favorite ones, too, that he would say every time there was a goal. He was a colorful character, funny man, one of the nicest men, apparently, anyone will meet. Apparently was almost like a second father figure to a lot of the Penguins players, would converse with them on flights, going on road trips, always give them, just words of encouragement like, hey, you're slumping right now. It's going to be okay. Things are going to be all right. You're a good player. And Sidney Crosby certainly was close with Mike Lang. Again, called Sidney Crosby's first games, really Sidney's entire career, really, with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that's kind of why I like the goal prop for Sidney tonight. Not, it's a big game. He's the captain. He shows up in big games, but with a little emotion too, with Mike Lang passing away last night. Like I said, I think he'll play hard tonight. But Mike Lang, man, all you got to do is search the great clips of him. In fact, we're going to cue one up for you right now. This was a good one. I found most of his best top 10 liners and top 10 goal calls of his great career. When they won the Stanley Cup, and I hate to say it, one of them, when he made this call, was against Alex's Chicago Blackhawks in 1992 with Lemieux and Jagr. But Lord Stanley, give me the brandy. That was always a great call when Pittsburgh won the Stanley Cup as well, especially that one back in 92. But Mike Lang is a treasure, an icon, beloved in Pittsburgh and certainly the western side of Pennsylvania, where there's all the Penguins fans. He will be dearly missed. Another of the NHL play-by-play broadcasting greats departed, unfortunately. The great Mike Lang, rest in peace. And here's a little bit of a look at some of the great handiwork that we have seen from Mike Lang in his brilliant career.
At the puck to Crosby, rich shot. He shoots and scores. Oh, get in the fast lane, Grandma. The bingo game is ready to roll.
Now, a few things are apparent when listening to Penguins broadcaster Mike Lang. He's got a bingo-addicted grandma and what has to be an incurably itchy back, but he's also one of the game's best. He is the king of the catchphrases we see in the SportsCenter Top 10, the best of Mike Lang.
Penguins reach in to get that puck. Crosby's pass to Marian Hossa. Stutter steps, goes into the Flyers in. Through people and fire scored! Oh, what a play by Hossa! He turns. Goaltender Baron inside out, and he just lost his liquor license. Crosby looking. Loose in front. Still a loose puck picked up by Nicky. And Sidney Crosby has scored his first goal ever in a Pittsburgh Penguins uniform. Oh, slap me, silly Sidney. Crosby's going to take it off Koskela. He shoots and scores. Oh, slap me, silly Sidney. Malkin still on here from the power play. Walks out and shoots. Scores! Evgeny Malkin from the right wing circle. And the Penguins take a 1-0 lead. Oh, save my face with a rusty razor. Here's Ulf Samuelsson shooting and scoring. He gets a second goal. Ulf Samuelsson gets the Penguins their sixth goal. Now he's smiling like a butcher's dog. Murphy shooting, scoring, deflected by Jagr, I believe. Jagr may have got a stick on it. The Penguins have taken an early 1-0 lead. Now Murphy and the fans are smiling like a butcher's dog. Andrew takes a shot. Save a rebound. Walker can't put it in. Score! Brown gets the goal. The Penguins get their fourth, and they lead 4-2. Oh, let's go hunt moose on a Harley. That's the blast. They get it out here. Oh, scratch my back with a hacksaw. Kurt McLean doesn't know whether to cry or wind his watch. McLean doesn't know whether to cry or wind his watch. And poor Theodore doesn't know whether to cry or wind his watch. And now the Yager fires. He gets his third of the night. The hat trick for Jaromir Jagr. And here come the hats. At the Mellon Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, you got it. Elvis has just left the building. Whether you want him on, there he is. Holds it. Elvis scores as he beats Theodore like a rented mule. Joey Butler taps it by Van Beesbrook, and he beats him like a rented mule. Jaromir Jagr beats Luongo like a rented mule. Marty Straka beats Tommy Salo. He beat him like a rented mule. 5 seconds to go. Loose around to the far corner. 2 seconds. The Penguins are going to win the Stanley Cup, I believe. Chilio shoots it blocked. The Penguins have won the Stanley Cup. Oh, Lord Stanley, get me the brandy.
Great stuff. That's great stuff.
What more can you say than that? I mean, just spectacular career, incredibly. There's so many good ones. It's very difficult to pick my favorite catchphrase of Mike Lang that he would often use during those calls. There were so many good ones. Yeah, whenever there was a great goal scored on an opposing goalie by Pittsburgh, yeah, he beat him like a rented mule. Yeah, that was another one of the good ones for sure. But there were so many of them. Just because I'm a drinking man, I always loved the Lord Stanley, give me the brandy. That was always a pretty good one. But just an incredibly colorful, engaging, always excitable character on the air, a great guy off the ice from all accounts. And he will be missed, Mike Lang, Alex. We lose another great broadcaster in this sport, unfortunately.
Yeah, we do. Like I said, the voices of our childhood are gone, more and more each day. And like I said, seeing those clips, that was great. Seeing some of those old players, getting to see my guy Rob Brown in that clip. And of course, Lemieux and Jagr and Francis, all those great teams of the Pittsburgh, the 90s and 2000s. Of course, they had the downtime, like I said, with the young Sidney Crosby, Marc-Andre Fleury as a teenager as well in those teams. And then, of course, we saw them rise back to the top. So, he was the voice throughout that entire ride of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he certainly will be missed in the Steel City and in the hockey community.
And I know a friend of Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart. I do the show with them Wednesday nights, and he works on the same network as they do, Sports Grid. Scotty Farrell, who's been around for a very long time. He is a Pittsburgh Penguin fan. He got into broadcasting because of Mike Lang. I could only imagine how devastated he's feeling today. And apparently Scott Farrell always says that Mike Lang treated him like a son, and almost like a teacher with the student, if you will. So I'm sure he's absolutely crushed at the passing of his good friend Mike Lang. And we're all going to miss him. There's no doubt. He had a great career, and like I said, it's we're losing all these greats, man. It's just a sign of, unfortunately, we're getting older. And I'll tell you what, big shoes to fill. There's some good young broadcasters out there. Don't get me wrong, but boy, oh boy, there's some big shoes to fill. As far as some of the old school vets and legends that we are losing, unfortunately. The last few years, no doubt. But Mike Lang, rest in peace. All right, we will get to Bargain Bin Special of the night, best bets as well, coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. This is breaking news. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Our last bargain bin special of the night segment for the Four Nations Faceoff. Alex, championship game, Canada, USA, bargain bin special. Who you got?
Like there's a lot of great choices, on the board here. Like I said, some top flight players and guys we certainly won't get at bargain bin prices once the NHL gets back in the to rolling. But I'm going with Jack Eichel because I think he's going to be a huge catalyst. Except playing in the Boston area, centering that second line. I have two things for him. Him to score a goal, so anytime goal score, plus 340 available at FanDuel. But you can also get him to score twice. That's as high as 31-1 at FanDuel. So I'm taking a shot with both of those. Jack Eichel to score once, Jack Eichel to score twice. My bargain bin specials for tonight.
There you go. Jack Eichel, anytime goal and over 1.5 goals. Both of them for Alex for bargain bin special of the night. Jack Eichel for Team USA. For someone that's Canadian and is not really fully all in as far as Canada winning tonight, the least I can do is go with a Canadian for bargain bin special of the night in the game tonight. And I'm going to do just that. And I'm going to go to the captain, Sidney Crosby. Heavy heart for the passing of his friend, Mike Lang, the legendary broadcaster of the Pittsburgh Penguins, a guy that shows up in big games, captain of the team. We saw the empty netter, and what an effort it was for him to win the puck in the neutral zone and put that game away against Finland in their last game. You're rarely going to get Sidney Crosby, especially in games of this magnitude, at a price like this. But plus 380 at FanDuel for Sidney Crosby to score, that's bargain bin worthy if I've ever seen one. Sidney Crosby for Canada, plus 380. That is going to be my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this championship game. Alex, best bet, what do you got?
Time waits for no one, and certainly the goals haven't been waiting in this tournament. We've had 6 games so far, 6 games. We've seen at least 2 or more goals in the first period. So let's ride it once again. First period over, 1.5. You can get plus 105 at Bet Online, minus 102 or better at BetMGM. We're going over 1.5 in the first period, U.S. and Canada. That is my best bet for Thursday night.
There you go. And I can say the same thing for me. That's the only pregame bet. So side or total that I've made so far. So by default, it's got to be that. Canada, USA, over 1.5, plus 105 in the first period. Perfect. 6-0 for the first period over in this tournament. We'll see if we can complete the 7-0 sweep with first period overs here in the Four Nations Faceoff. Over 1.5 first period as well for me for best bet for this championship game. Shout out to everyone in the chat one last time. And a reminder, hit the like button. If there's anyone that's maybe tuning into this show for the first time, and because you're into this tournament and you're into this championship game and it's captivated your attention, we strongly urge you to join us all season for the rest of the season, 7 days a week. We preview every NHL game on the board, sides, totals, player props, every day from a betting perspective. 7 days. We don't take days off here. Get that NBA load management shit out of here. Get it out of here. Get that bullshit out of here. These guys, this show, we're here every day for you. 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. Every day, every NHL game on the board. And trust me, NHL hockey is great hockey. Stick with it, even after this tournament concludes tonight for sure, because and we will be here to try to make you some money with NHL hockey from a betting perspective. Oh, you're muted. Or are you?
Final score prediction.
Oh, yeah, final score. 4-3. You know, it's funny because I gave out a score prediction last night on the Gabe and Cam show. I went with 4-3. I'll go 4-3 here. 4-3 U.S. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm saying 6-3 U.S. I
There
think
you
it's
go.
4-3 late. I think Canada pulls the empty net, and I think we see not one but 2 empty net goals. And that's the thing. That's why I like that prop that talked about 2 empty net goals, because obviously these two teams aren't going to let up on one another. If they have a chance to score again, they will. So
Yep.
one empty net, 2 empty nets. So I think, like I said, those are both live looks, but I think 6-3 U.S. is my final score prediction.
There we go. Good stuff. We hope it's a hell of a game tonight. We're looking
Yeah.
forward to it. Cannot wait for the championship game of the Four Nations Faceoff. And a reminder, we're obviously off tomorrow, but we are back in the swing of things with the resumption of the NHL season Saturday, and we'll be back at our normal Saturday time, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Pacific. A great card. Maybe I'll tread a little lighter because you never know with some of these teams, especially with teams that have a lot of players that played in the Four Nations, how things are going to go. But certainly it's still an appealing card. There were a lot of angles, and you think you know which ones I'm talking about that really worked well for us going in to the Four Nations break that we're going to try to hit once again. So looking forward to getting back to a full card of NHL analysis on Saturday.
I have to mention it now because I bet it earlier today, and it's only at a few books. FanDuel has one of them. I bet over 5.5 with Winnipeg and St. Louis. Keep in mind, both of their starting goalies are playing tonight. We could either see 2 tired goalies who've been playing in this tournament starting in that game, or we see both of the backups where that number won't be 5.5. So that's an early play for Saturday. You can grab now 5.5 over with St. Louis and Winnipeg.
Makes a lot of sense. The logic fits as far as that is concerned. No question. The NBA show is back tomorrow for the NBA show I do with Ski Profit, Dutch, and Wham. That's 4 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific Friday. And then we're on Monday to Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific with that show, just to give you a heads up. All right, that's it. We're out of here. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the Four Nations Faceoff Championship game, and good luck. And we'll be back Saturday with the resumption of the NHL season. As the NHL resumes Saturday, we'll be back here at noon Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.